No tanks crossed any border. No missiles were launched. No war was declared. But on March 5, 2026, Panama seized two of the most strategically important ports on the planet. Ports that sit at each end of the Panama Canal. Ports that had been operated for nearly 30 years by a Hong Kong company with direct ties to Beijing. And China's response? It started detaining ships, Panama-flagged ships, held in Chinese ports, without explanation. That's not a trade dispute. That's a threat. You're going to see a map that will change how you look at global trade forever. 168 ports, 90 countries, $24 billion in Chinese financing. A network so large, so carefully constructed, that when you see it all at once, you'll wonder how nobody called it what it is. China doesn't fight wars the way you think wars are fought. No invasions, no occupation, no flag planted in foreign soil. China builds ports, roads, railways, bridges, power plants. And when the country can't pay the debt, China doesn't send soldiers. It sends port administrators. This strategy has a name: the PAIS, Belt and Road Initiative. Launched in 2013 by Xi Jinping, 150 countries signed on, not because China forced them, because China offered something nobody else was offering. Money. Fast. No political conditions. The West would say, we'll fund your infrastructure, but you need democracy reforms, transparency audits, environmental standards. China said, sign here. Construction starts Monday. And the money flowed. A new report released in March 2026 by Aid Data at William and Mary University tracked every dollar China spent on foreign ports over 25 years. The numbers are staggering. $23.9 billion. 363 port projects. 168 ports. 90 in 90 countries. From the Pacific to the Atlantic. From Africa to Latin America. From Southeast Asia to Southern Europe. The researchers found Chinese naval activity detected at more than half-ton of those port facilities. Not military bases, not yet. But the infrastructure is there. The relationships are there. The access is there. And in geopolitics, access is everything. Here's what makes this different from normal investment. China didn't just build random ports. It built ports next to mines, critical mineral mines, cobalt, lithium, copper, rare earth elements, the raw materials that build electric vehicles, that build semiconductors, that build missiles, that build the future. China didn't buy ports. It bought Troutry's supply chains. The port is just the door. What China really wanted was what comes through it. Now, Panama. The canal handles 5% of all global maritime trade. Every year, $270 billion worth of goods, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. For nearly 30 years, the ports at each end of that canal were operated by Hutchison Holdings, a Hong Kong-based company. In 2025, under pressure from Trump, who publicly declared that China was running the Panama Canal, CK Hutchison agreed to sell its port operations to a BlackRock-led American consortium for $23 billion. Beijing immediately intervened, called it kowtowing to American pressure, blocked the deal. Then Panama's Supreme Court stepped in, ruled that Hutchison's concession was unconstitutional. On March 5, 2026, Panama seized the ports, appointed U.S.-linked operators, Maersk APM terminals, to take over, and China started detaining ships. The U.S. Federal Maritime Commission confirmed it on March 27th. A large surge in detentions of Panama-flagged vessels in Chinese ports. China summoned the CEOs of Maersk and MSC, two of the world's largest shipping companies, for emergency talks in Beijing. China's official statement: the U.S. wants to seize control. They weren't entirely wrong, but neither were they innocent. This is what the new World War looks like. No trenches, no bombs. Shipping containers, port terminals, detained vessels. Let's zoom out, because Panama is just one square on the board. Xi Jinping, in a speech that was kept classified until March 2026, said China must deeply participate in global ocean governance, CT, unwaveringly defend maritime rights and interests, advance the construction of the Belt and Road International Port Alliance. That speech was given in July 2025. It was only published now, right in the middle of the Panama crisis, right in the middle of the Iran war, right in the middle of the Hormuz blockade. That timing is not a coincidence. Think about what China has built. Ports in Djibouti, controlling the entrance to the Red Sea. Ports in Herdaz, Sri Lanka, controlling Indian Ocean shipping lanes. Ports in Jordars, Pakistan, directly connected to Chinese territory. Ports in Hirv, Greece, inside the European Union. Ports in Peru and Chile, on South America's Pacific coast. Ports in West Africa, controlling Atlantic trade routes. And until last month, ports at both ends of the Panama Canal. Connect the dots. China doesn't need a navy to control global shipping. It already owns the docks. But here's what the headlines missed. Panama was the first Latin American country to join the Belt and Road Initiative in 2017. Then, in 2025, they quietly didn't renew their membership, under pressure from Washington. And 3 months later, their Supreme Court ruled Hutchison's concession unconstitutional. Coincidence? In geopolitics, there are no coincidences, only moves and countermoves. The question nobody is asking is, which other countries in Latin America are being quietly pressured to make the same choice? And which ones are choosing China instead? Let's be precise about the strategy. China's port network was never just about trade. It was about options. In peacetime, the ports generate revenue and political influence. In a crisis, they become leverage. Need a country to abstain on a UN vote? You own their port. Need a country to stay neutral in a conflict? You built their hospital and their railroad? Need access to a shipping lane in a war? You have a facility 3 miles away. This is soft power with hard consequences. And America is only now understanding the scale of it. The Aid Data Report, the most comprehensive study ever done on China's port financing, was released in March 2026. 25 years after China started building. That's how long it took the West to map what China was doing. 25 years. China built a global maritime network, in plain sight. While the West was fighting wars in the desert, 2 roads from here. Road 1. The Panama ports transfer goes smoothly. American operators take over. China accepts the loss, legally, publicly, but quietly. China accelerates BRI port construction everywhere else, doubles down in Africa, expands in Southeast Asia, deepens ties in South America, loses 1 port, builds 10 more. America wins the battle. China wins the map. Road 2. China escalates the ship detentions. Global shipping companies get caught between 2 superpowers. Maersk and MSC, the world's 2 largest container lines, are forced to choose sides. Supply chains fracture. Ports in Africa and Southeast Asia start quietly rerouting cargo to avoid U.S.-linked operators. The global shipping system, which moves 90% of everything you own, starts splitting. An American lane and a Chinese lane. Two parallel systems, two parallel worlds, and every country in between forced to pick one. Here's the thing about China's strategy. It was never secret. Xi Jinping announced it in 2013. He called it the Pointy New Silk Road. He said it would connect the world. He was right. It did connect the world. To Beijing, 168 ports, 90 countries, 25 years of construction, $24 billion in financing. Not one soldier deployed, not one missile fired, just contracts, loans, cranes, and patience. The same patience we saw in Russia's energy strategy. The same patience we saw in the slow erosion of the dollar. These are not separate stories. They are chapters of the same book. And we are somewhere in the middle. China is detaining ships right now. The Panama Canal ports have new operators. Xi Jinping just published a secret speech about controlling the world's oceans. And somewhere in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in South America, a Chinese construction crew is finishing another port. Quietly. On schedule. Without making the news. The map is almost complete. The question is, does your country have a port on it? And if it does, who really owns the dock?